I believe that in our fast-moving computer age, it is the medium of television that joins together the global community. And it is the television journalist who serves as messenger, bringing the world into our homes and our homes into the world. It has always been my dream to become such a messenger. I look to you, gentlemen, now to make that dream a reality.
Okay, record go. Let's go.
Hello and welcome. Welcome and hello. This is Wait, You Haven't Seen? It's a show where we talk about movies, and specifically, we talk about a movie at least one of us has never seen before. I'm your host, Travis, aka TV's Travis. This is episode number 370. And our movie this week from 1995 is To Die For. And joining me to talk about it because he wanted me to see it, it's Theo. Theo, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, everybody.
Hello. All right. So To Die For, 1995, Gus Van Sant, starring Nicole Kidman and a host of others we'll get into because I was getting whiplash from this cast left and right. But before we do that, I want to know your history with this movie because you brought it to me.
I did. So, and it's funny. So, a little bit of background with this movie. 1995, and it's funny that this is also the same year that Batman Forever came out, which also Nicole Kidman was in. But I had just been kind of bitten by the indie bug, discovering Pulp Fiction, my favorite movie. Okay. And little by little, I was starting to learn about that side of cinema. I grew up with a lot of movies, but I grew up in Hawaii, so it was a different kind of film culture, not a lot of indie stuff. So little by little, I'm like, who's this? Who's that? And I stumbled across Gus Van Sant as a fan of Drugstore Cowboy, which is phenomenal. And I remember watching the trailers for this, and I did see this in the movies, to date myself.
Okay.
But I was just intrigued by definitely the promotions for it, but also it was Nicole Kidman, and I had enjoyed her from other stuff, but for a lot of people, it was not Dead Alive, the movie she made with Sam Neill and Billy Zane on the boat, which played kind of like
Dead Calm.
Thank you. Yes. And adored her in it, and I was like, okay, but with the Gus Van Sant thing, and then you kind of mentioned the cast, and we'll get into that. I was like, okay, color me intrigued. So I saw it at Varsity Twins. We had very few kind of indie art house theaters there, but this was that boom. And even though it's with Columbia Pictures, where mini majors were starting to take off, Miramax had kind of, planted their flag, drew the line in the sand. So a lot of places were like, oh, let's make small movies with big ambition. And this was kind of in line with that. Mm-hmm. First time I watched it, it made such an impression because I hadn't really seen anything like it, even with like something like Drugstore Cowboy, which kind of hits you over the head if you've never seen the movie. It's fantastic. Matt Damon is phenomenal in it. So is Heather Graham, Kelly Lynch. I walked out of this movie the same way I almost walked out of Pulp Fiction, if you will, where I was like, wow, that was a lot. It was kind of a barrage of just all to my senses. I was like, I can't wait to see this again. So it kind of became a personal darling of mine. Like, it wasn't like a flop, but it wasn't like a massive hit. But especially at the time, one of the big selling points was Nicole Kidman's performance, and rightly so.
Sure.
But recently, about a year ago, it was online and I watched it and I was like, oh, this was like a comfort food movie for me, even back then. And then when I messaged you about it, I was literally in the middle of watching it off of Netflix, where I was like, and it's kind of like lightning, where you just have kind of that moment, especially with some of these movies, because
sure,
I kind of had that conversation with my girlfriend recently where, I mean, she enjoys movies and stuff like that, but I'll bring movies to her and she's like, how do you remember something you haven't seen in 40 years, but you forget to bring back milk? That I literally messaged you about 5 minutes ago.
There's only so much room in the straw that is your memory.
Yes. Only so much bandwidth.
Yeah. And this is important information.
Yes.
You want to be careful how you say that, but I get it.
Yes. Yes. Well, people ask me, they're like, what do you think, what goes on in your head all the time? Like if I do something silly or whatever. And I'm like, it's usually cartoons and Star Wars quotes, and they
Yeah,
think I'm kidding. And I remember some of the most inane things that obviously have made such an impact. And this movie kind of is in there because I consider it like a personal little fun favorite of mine. Because there are some
sure.
people who are like, "Wait, she did that movie? He's in that movie?" So
Yeah. So, okay, you brought this up to me, and I do not remember this movie. Like, I had not seen it.
mhm,
I was not familiar with it. I know I had seen it if I was running down like Nicole Kidman's IMDb,
right.
or Gus Van Sant's IMDb. I would see To Die For, but there was no lasting memory to it for me, other than I vaguely remember seeing the box art, like the poster
Right.
image of Nicole Kidman from either the front of the DVD or the front of the movie poster, whatever it was.
Mhm,
So but I did not have any like connection to it.
right.
So I went in completely blind and just started it up. I know Gus Van Sant. Mostly, I would say the first thing I think of with him is probably either Good Will Hunting or
Yes.
his shot-for-shot color remake of
Oh,
Psycho. For whatever reason, he decided to do that, and I have
oh,
not figured that one out because I saw that in the theater. I
oh my
remember seeing
goodness.
that. And I remember seeing it because I was such a fan of Psycho. And I'm like, let's check this out. And I went with a buddy of mine and we
Right.
watched it. And I didn't hate his remake of Psycho as much as a lot of people did. But over time, what I've come to realize is, yeah, but why?
Yes.
Because there was nothing new brought to it. It was like a cover song done in the exact same style of the original
Yes. Yes.
without doing anything new. And over time, I just appreciated it less and less. And that's not a knock on Gus Van Sant because I do think he has an ability as a director.
Oh,
I just
absolutely.
don't know exactly why. Remaking Psycho is one thing, but doing the shot for shot, I wasn't.
Yes.
Plus, I mean, you can't replace Norman Bates. Like as much as Vince Vaughn can be very compelling and interesting, man,
Yes.
he is no Anthony Perkins.
Oh, absolutely. And what was weird for for me with that movie was you go back and I kind of the Gus Van Sant thing, and I agree with you there, where you're like, because like if some quote unquote hack did something like that to be edgy or experimental,
Mhm.
I would be like, okay, I could see certain directors of a lower end, not to knock what they do, but you don't think of Gus Van Sant going, hey, you got Psycho? I can put a Xerox machine on that and put it in the theater. What do you
Right.
say? And Psycho was made with like a TV crew for like roughly a million back then.
Mm-hmm.
His remake was like 20, 25 million. And
Yeah.
everybody went, well, what are you doing? I feel like he either lost a bet or had so much clout where it was like, he walked into the pitch office and had two words, watch this. And it's that one for me is just bizarre. And we know there are so many filmmakers who have these little bumps in the road, if you will, where you're like, they made that. My favorite for a lot of people when they realize something like 1941 came from Spielberg and was
Right.
co-written by Robert Zemeckis, and they go, that? And it just, and I agree with you. Like I watched it and it didn't click at first how shot by shot it was. One, because it was in color, and two, I was distracted by Vince Vaughn in that role. Because it's not that he was horrible, but it's like you're you're already established and
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to rub shoulders with the man who became so synonymous with this role because nobody else could pull it off. And it just felt a little jarring for me. Everything else I was just like, oh, he cut and paste the movie literally.
Yeah.
Um, and then you look at some of his other stuff like Milk and like Elephant and
Right.
definitely Good Will Hunting, and it's like this guy's not a hack. Like this
No,
guy
he's not at
knows
all.
how to tell a story, and I mean for me as far as remakes go, especially in the horror genre, that's almost up there with like the remake of The Hitcher, which I think is just that one hurts my soul. And then the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, which Jackie Earl Haley doesn't like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies and decided to
Mhm.
play Freddy Krueger. And it's like,
Hey, you know what though? He got paid. So I'm going to give him
he
credit
did.
there. He got
He
paid.
did.
and
Yes.
he showed up. No, it's like, because I look at Gus Van Sant, and
Mhm.
he has this ability to tell very intriguing stories, and things like Drugstore Cowboy and My Own Private Idaho
Yes.
that he did before this. He does this movie. This is interesting. This felt to me, when I was watching it, where I was like, this movie crawled so something like Gone Girl could walk.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
It's
Gone
that
Girl.
type
Oh.
of movie where it's a little bit true crime. It's got some dark comedy in it. It's got
Yes.
it gets into the absurdist at times. It's got amazing performances across the board.
Mhm.
And it was really, really intriguing for me all the way through. At first, I was like, okay, this is fine. And it kept going. And as it went and it started unfolding more, and I realized what it was, which is it's not a mystery in the way that Gone Girl is, or the way that some other movies are, where you're trying to figure out how they got away with whatever happened. The movie,
Right.
this story just lays it all out for you and tells it to you straight.
Oh,
But it's
yeah.
all done through flashbacks, which can be a very hacky type of framing device, but it works here because I love the way those slowly unfolded.
Yes.
And some of them we got resolution as to who was doing it, and some of them I'm not sure who was
Right.
doing the actual interviews, which I liked by the end of it. I'm like, oh, that's kind of neat.
Right.
But we can't talk about this movie without talking about Nicole Kidman in
Oh,
it,
absolutely.
because when you see the IMDb 4 movies, that somebody is known for, this is one of her 4 movies, and I totally understand why.
Yes.
She was phenomenal throughout this. And there were so many times, like the character of Suzanne Stone is both very manipulative and conniving and clever, and yet also extremely shallow, not
Yes.
just in like her obsession with surface level things on other people and herself, but also shallow in that her motivations are not this grand scheme necessarily, or you can read it like that. Her motivations were just to be famous.
Yes.
So I liked that aspect of it quite a bit. And she just nails it start to finish with all the different
Absolutely.
aspects.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing for me, and I was looking at some of the trivia, the IMDb stuff, and they tried to throw, or she tried to get 5 million. Meg Ryan, she she was looked at for this role,
Yeah.
and there were others that were considered, and this is one of those roles, and not only on shows, but we also talk about in general, where it's like they nailed it so good that when you hear some of these would be castings, or maybe like, somebody comes up with like a remake and it's like, you nailed it the first time. Like, I
Yeah.
cannot see anybody else playing that role the way she did. And most people in it, I wouldn't consider interchangeable, but she's really the glue that holds it together. And with the
Oh, for
interview
sure.
stuff, with the white background stuff, it's this interesting glue that still sticks to what she thinks the narrative is. And it kind of goes
Yep.
to the shallowness, because even with what's happening to her and to the Fahrenheit this gets to, I mean, she understands the reality of what's happened, but she doesn't. It's almost like the character compartmentalized it. Like, she's
Yes.
still focused, especially with those scenes with the white background, the interview stuff, or the solo interview, if you will. She's still like, oh yeah, I'm working on this. Oh
Mhm.
yeah, the fact that they caught them and this and stuff. Sure, that okay,
Yep.
but my focus is still what it's always been, and it speaks. I would say it speaks to the character of her, but she doesn't really have character, and that's
Right.
kind of the
Oh, no,
point.
for sure.
Yeah.
Some of the other names that were up for this role, because this is a career defining role for Nicole Kidman
Mhm.
in a lot of people's minds. And now that I have seen it, I understand that. But here are some of the other names that I found that were considered for the role before Meg Ryan got the offer, because they did offer it to Meg Ryan. She
Sure.
turned it down, and then Nicole Kidman kind of went for it and got it. But Patricia Arquette, Jennifer Connelly. I don't see Jennifer Connelly doing this role especially at that time. I think
Yes.
I think in 1995, I don't think she was there yet.
Yeah. She had just made like I think career opportunities where she's locked in the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love Jennifer Connelly, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
And what she did in Dark City, for instance, I love her role in that.
Oh, yes.
But I don't see her in this role as well. Joan Cusack is another one. Bridget Fonda. Jodie Foster, which the problem with Jodie Foster at this point is this is only a few years after Silence of the Lambs and a couple of other things that she had done. So that would have been a tough one. Melanie Griffith, which I get. If you're going for Meg Ryan, Melanie Griffith is in that same direction. Daryl Hannah. Holly Hunter was the one that intrigued me the most because I adore Holly Hunter and I could see her doing it.
That could have been quite a direction, especially with her.
There is something about Holly Hunter that is so alluring and disarming at the same time.
Yes.
Jodie Foster has that too. There's just this like interesting balance that they have.
Yes.
Let's see, a couple other ones. Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tatum O'Neal.
I adore her.
Mary Louise Parker and Sarah Jessica Parker were both apparently. Michelle Pfeiffer intrigues me because
I'd cast her in anything.
yeah, I mean, this is only a couple of years after Batman Returns.
Yes, and and that turn as Selena Kyle is still phenomenal, and I don't think the other Batman movies even try to touch that. And I know theme wise, look wise. They're different movies. That's why when people compare, like, who's the best Batman, who's the best Superman, it's like, it's a little, I mean, you can compare, but it's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
But just off of that, I could kind of see her in this if it ended up that way.
Absolutely. Last couple were Brooke Shields. I don't see that. Uma Thurman, I love coming off of... this would have been right around. She would have been working on Pulp Fiction probably at the time they were filming this. But
yeah,
again, I think Uma Thurman a couple of years after this would maybe fit it a little more. And then Deborah Winger was the last one that I saw.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
So, it ended up going to the right person. Like sometimes a film a role lands to the right person at the right time. And in this case, it absolutely did here. Now, I did notice that she got a lot of accolades for this. I think she was up for or nominated for like Golden Globes, BAFTAs, that kind of thing. Not for an Academy Award in 1995. No. And I decided, I was like, okay, I got to look this up. I got to see, like, why didn't she at least get a nomination, right?
Right.
Here's who was nominated for the Academy Award Best Actress that year. Sharon Stone in Casino, Meryl Streep in The Bridges of Madison County, Elizabeth Shue in Leaving Las Vegas.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Susan Sarandon in Dead Man Walking, who won for Dead Man Walking, and Emma Thompson in Sense and Sensibility. That's the fact
that's a tough crowd.
Yeah, the fact that Nicole Kidman didn't get nominated, I think she probably should have, but at the same time, I couldn't tell you who off that list I'm removing to put Nicole Kidman on there either. Like, I mean, I just don't know. I don't know who does she replace?
I mean, you could have almost, and with Oscars, they promote and they kind of, push for people's votes and stuff. But like, even in the case of like Meryl Streep, she's been nominated so many times as well as won, but it's like, there's a reason for that. So when you do kind of look at that list, especially against those movies, Sharon Stone, I mean, obviously, Basic Instinct fame, but you look at some of her other works, and the only one that stands up, at least for me, comes to mind, is Casino. And of course, it's Scorsese, so there you have it. And then Emma Thompson, you don't sideline her. Once again, Meryl Streep. Susan Sarandon, once again, like you don't, that was a hard class I could see her trying to get into. And I kind of wonder, because there were certain times where actresses, they pull off a role and they nail it. And like this, star making, it plants their flag. But the same year she had like Batman Forever. So for the Academy, I can't help but to go, oh, well, she's the Batman girl. Like, why would we put her in that? Because that's actually happened in a lot of cases. There's that
Yeah.
whole rumor about Norbert and Dreamgirls and Eddie Murphy, where it came out
Right.
the same weekend and he didn't win, and he actually apparently left the ceremony that year. And it's like, once again, like most of these things, even the Academy, they're kind of patting themselves on the back.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't want to be part of the Norbert person. And it's like, but did you also see the Nutty Professors? I do actually really like the first one. So it's like,
Yeah.
it is a competition. It is a bit of a,
It is.
basically contest. Yeah.
And winning an Academy Award, I've come to the point in my life where like winning something like an Academy Award, the winner isn't always necessarily the best choice. It's a cool thing to see, and when you see repeat winners, that's very interesting to me. But I look more at like who got nominated in a particular year,
Yes.
and maybe who missed out. And if they missed out, well, why? And then you look at that list and it's like, okay, well, I get it. Nicole Kidman is still young, relatively, compared to them, and she doesn't have the track record. And yes, there is the stigma, especially at that time, comic book movies were not thought of at all in a realm of like good filmmaking. They were just schlock for, younger audiences. So I get it, but she deserved all the accolades that she got for this. Nicole Kidman, throughout it, there were moments that she kept flipping back and forth, right? She would be bright and bubbly and then go dark for a second and get very manipulative. And then the way she played the men in this movie.
Oh, yes.
All of them just perfectly throughout. Most notably was her husband in the movie, Larry, is played by Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon was great.
Yes.
He again has that right mix here, especially. This is a good mix of like kind of, aw shucks, I'm just a simple guy, but then there's a couple moments where he gets a little bit annoyed and you're like, oh yeah, no, I can see it. But I liked how there was never a question of what Larry felt about Suzanne.
Right.
He loved her all the way through, which made everything that she was doing that much worse.
Yes.
Because he didn't deserve any of that.
Oh, no, not at all. And he's kind of this lovable lughead. And of course, Matt Damon always crushes it. I mean,
Dylan.
Even back to Matt Damon. Wait, Matt Damon's the Born Identity guy. Used to sell us cryptocurrency.
Right. Well, Damon worked with Van Sant enough that,
He did, yes. Because I think he was in Jerry with, and also, of course, Good Will Hunting.
Right.
But Matt Dillon, going back to him being like a buck and a dime soaking wet in The Outsiders with Coppola.
Yeah.
Like, he's always been engaging, and he's been around forever. And if you know, those who really grew up with him. And I feel he's a little bit, and you kind of mentioned the casting or almost casting with Jennifer Jason Leigh. Like, talk about two great actors who have been in so many movies, big and small, and it's like they still don't get their flowers. And here, he had already worked with Gus Van Sant on Drugstore Cowboy, and he is this kind of sweet, doe-eyed, kind of lovable lug who just, he just saw this sweet girl, but he also appreciated her ambition, and he was like, okay, like, I see where she can go. I want to be a part of that, and I want to make her happy. And when he reaches his Fahrenheit, his moment, it's small, but it's something to see when he's like, because he was like, I don't want to tell her no. Like, I don't want to do that to her, for whatever reason. Like, I don't want the confrontation or what have you. But when it happens, it's like, oh, and he didn't even like try to propose to her anything that was like heavy duty. He just wanted to have his place with her and kind of bring her into that. But it deterred from her focus, and laser focused is almost putting it mildly with this character, with Nicole Kidman's character, because she literally, and that's part of the enjoyment of the performance, she sees the world with blinders. Everybody else occurs around her for her. Her whole point is to get on TV. And in some ways, you kind of pick up on points where you're like, she didn't even care like what she's famous for. She's just obsessed with the ideal of fame.
Yep.
And that's why when we get towards the end, and even with everything kind of crumbling around her, she's still like, so I'm be on TV, right?
Right.
Like that's a
Exactly.
lot of her guiding star. And watching Nicole Kidman pull that off with such nuance between points of like, I'm sweet, I'm dark, I'm focused. And it all still kind of centers around, once again, being on TV and being famous. Um, it's just a powerhouse performance. And the
It
movie
is.
literally hinges on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, if she doesn't nail it, it doesn't
Yeah.
work. But then it also brings everyone out, like it brings to light all the other performances, because if Matt Dillon isn't up to the task, it's going to show more against what she's doing.
Yes.
And he is, and he does this great job. And I love when Larry comes to her with like, all right, we need to talk.
Yes.
And his idea is just, look, I'm going to be managing the restaurant and I'm going to be getting a stage. And why don't you come do, what you want to do, kind of thing, like videotape the performances, edit them up, sell them back to the clients. Like
Yeah.
it's a way to do something of what you want, but it's not what she wants.
No.
But he's coming at it from a place of like supporting her.
Yes.
Just with the only way he kind of knows how, because he feels like she's not getting the respect she needs or deserves in what she's trying to do. So here's a way for her to do that. But I also love that, like, again, he's not demonstrative to her. They never toe the line of like, ooh, maybe he could be a little abusive or anything like that.
Right.
No, he's not. And that's perfect. Like he's so good in here. And then his dad's played by Dan Hedaya. I love Dan.
It's amazing
Hedaya.
all the time. Yes.
He's always great. And I love this kind of underlying. There's a little hint at it early on that like he might know mafia people, and then it's just sort of forgotten.
Yes.
Until the very end of the movie, and I love how that all played out.
Yes.
Because you sort of get this sense of it in the beginning, and then no, never mind. Because it's her dad saying something during the talk show, right?
Yes.
Her father, Earl, played by Kurtwood Smith, another
Red.
another phenomenal character actor that I just love and everything.
Yes.
Brings up the like mafia connection, but then it's sort of forgotten. And then we have his little Joe's blow up with the bat in the restaurant is the other kind of clue. And then nothing again for about 15 minutes. And then we get like the end. I loved all of that. And Dan Hedaya, he will always be the captain from Running Scared for me.
Yes.
Because that is the first movie I have a conscious memory of seeing him in it.
Yes.
But man, I love him. Kurtwood Smith again, like the guy is, I mean, he's Red. He's, I can't remember his character's name now in RoboCop, but
Clarence Boddicker.
Boddicker, that's right.
Yes.
Love them both. Great casting for parents, because Earl in this, while he doesn't have a ton of screen time, it's very intriguing the way he is. He is like this dutiful father. He cares about his daughter. There's that one moment, and I captured it. I'll play it later, where she says to him, I'll never find another man like you, at her wedding.
Right.
And it's his reaction to that of like, wait, what? Like he's confused by that at first. And I really enjoyed that and his performance in total. Her mom, played by Holland Taylor, is another great character actor I love, always popping up and stuff. Wayne Knight is just, he's such a delight playing this exact kind of character. Right?
Yes.
This is like a friendly version of Newman.
Yeah.
It's Newman with the rough edges rounded off, but there's still some of that underneath there. The whole like gang, calling her gangbusters. And just. But I love it because she comes into his little cable access station all ready to go, and he's like, yeah, okay, we're just looking for somebody to like file stuff and answer phones. And then she keeps going. He's like, I don't think you're listening to me.
Right.
And he's trying so hard, and she doesn't give up, and she just wears him down. And that's the thing. She knows people. She works these men so well throughout the movie. It is masterful to watch this character at work because she plays Larry like a fiddle.
Oh yes.
Her dad obviously loves her, but he's her father, so that makes sense. But
Right.
she deals Ed like she just owns him eventually.
Oh yeah.
And then the kids, when she gets the idea to do this thing with the high school kids, and we meet our 3 high school kids, which is Joaquin Phoenix, young Joaquin
Yes.
Phoenix, playing Jimmy, or James as she calls him. I liked that little bit of psychology. Baby Casey Affleck in here.
Yes. Very
as
baby.
Russell. Now, one of the trivia things said that Casey Affleck worked on this movie, and then he gave Gus Van Sant the script that Ben and Matt had been working on for Good Will Hunting. I don't know if I necessarily believe that story, but I think maybe Casey being involved may have been able to make some kind of a connection. I don't know.
I guess I could kind of see that.
He's good in here. He's
Yes.
playing the like real just hornball of a teenager.
Yes.
And that's the thing to remember is Jimmy, Russell, and then Lydia, played by Allison Folland, are all teenagers
Yes.
in this movie. They are high school students. And the way Suzanne treats them and manipulates them is absolutely horrific.
It is.
And it's also this great expose on something like a parasocial relationship, right? Because Lydia, all of the interviews with her, and I love the interviews in this, the interview style of things, because number one, some of the framing of that is great. Lydia sitting on that car with that
Yes.
wonderful like backdrop looked like a painting.
Yes.
But we never learn who is doing this expose, right? Who is interviewing her, or who is interviewing Jimmy when he's in prison, or is anyone interviewing him? Because I have questions about that towards the end, where he looks like he's in a room by himself.
Yes.
So never getting that part of it is kind of neat, because like the talk show stuff, I get. They're on a talk show. It's the parents,
Right.
and that's sort of your Phil Donahue, Maury Povich daytime talk show, sensationalizing whatever's in the news. Very fitting for the 90s.
Oh yes.
But all of this, like Joaquin Phoenix is incredible
Oh yes.
as always. He always brings it.
Yes.
But he plays this kind of character really well. This kind of just broken. And the other thing I noticed is Larry, Suzanne, the parents, Wayne, all these characters enunciate very well, and they sound a certain way. And then the kids are so 90s coded, it hurts.
Oh yes.
And they're so, I think the word I would use is relaxed in their speaking, where they mutter and mumble a lot.
Yes.
The very Eddie Vedder of them all,
Yes.
in a lot of ways. But they're great. Like Jimmy is so good and such an interesting character. He's very, very tropey, but he's a very interesting character throughout because he does get obsessed with her.
Yes.
And she,
Which is her
sees that.
aim.
Yep. She sees it and he uses it, but then he is also the one that is her downfall, right?
Yes.
Because she doesn't know how to, and it's again, it's that idea of all of her motivations are so shallow and there's no depth to them, that she is not the criminal mastermind playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
Right.
She's just playing checkers a little bit better than the other people.
Yeah, and not even by much of a measure when you think about it, because she doesn't want to be seen with them, but she never had to come up with an alibi because she was doing the weather. And I have to say real quick, I love that part where it's intercut where he's shot and she has that click moment where
Oh yeah. Oh, that
she's
was so
like,
good.
it must have happened, and she turns and Wayne Knight's character is like, well, somebody flipped the switch. Like it's
Yeah.
instantaneous. And once again, I mean, we're gonna keep delivering flowers for Nicole Kidman on this one. The way it happens, subtly yet effectively, is like, oh, like it's very chilling. Like, at least for me, and I remember seeing it in the movie theater in that moment where I was like, oh, that just like it all kind of comes together in just that short nuance of that performance.
Yeah.
She I don't want to say she didn't think it out, but once again, it goes back to the blinders of the character. Like
Yes.
these three children are disposable. Larry, in his own way, was disposable. Like everything around me occurs, but only that, unless it applies to me, and then everything else is focused on her ultimate goal.
Yep.
But she never really discusses with them what's going to happen after. She
Nope.
never really figures out a way to do a um any kind of alibi or any kind of fallback for them if something happens.
And I
And
think it's because I honestly think it's because as a character, she just doesn't think that part through. She doesn't think
Right.
that far ahead. She's like, no, when it's over, we'll just all go our separate ways. I'll get what I want, and
Yeah.
they don't matter, and they will just disappear.
Yep.
And then they didn't. And
no, they sure didn't.
and then it just kind of goes from there. But just like the build up for it all, because the inciting incident for this story is really when Larry is killed.
Yes.
So we have, and that's well more than an hour into this movie.
Yes.
And in fact, I like how the scene you mentioned earlier with Larry and her, where he finally tells her no.
Yeah.
That's 52 minutes into this movie.
Yes. That's like halfway.
And
Or close
yeah, it's
to it.
right about the halfway mark where she finally gets told no for the first time.
Yes.
And I feel like a different version of this movie spends more time with the fallout of the crime
Right.
and catching her. And that's not really the important part, right? Because her being caught is not the aim of this story.
Right.
She's going to get whatever comeuppance are coming to her.
Right.
It's
Which is
more about this
fantastic.
build-up. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that
Um,
scene. Yeah, not to jump the gun on that. We'll get to that, but that scene's great. But you went back to when she tells her no. There's a great part, and it's subtle, not subtle, when he talks about what he wants to do for the restaurant, as he's probably going to be managing and
Mhm.
taking over. And he's trying to work with her, and he says something, and there is something with the camera that happens that I think is
Oh, I
perfect.
loved it.
When
Loved
he
it.
says, the whole TV thing, I don't know if that's going to happen. Something to that effect. It's not an exact
Mhm.
line. And it turns into kind of the Looney Tune thing or 007 where it's the zero, where once again, the blinders.
Yep.
He's now in the way. And it is a very clear case. It's not even like him or me. It's me and me.
Yep.
And once again, like you can't help but to feel for Larry, especially like when he gets killed. He is not only trying to negotiate with these kids, he's carrying on a conversation thinking he can maybe talk his way through. But that was kind of his nature, like a sweet, lovable lug, decent guy. And it's like, oh, Suzanne? And we see movies and probably even in real life. If two people show up and they realize that your would-be killers know your wife, you're going to have that aha click moment like, she hired these two jackholes to do me in. Quite the opposite. And it speaks to the character where it's, my wife? Like, oh, okay, well, we can come to maybe an understanding. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's so sweet of the character. You really feel for him when he is murdered because you knew it was coming because they hinted to that. But
Yep.
the way it happens, the execution, which they don't get to right away, that all builds, you're like, damn, they better, like somebody better catch it for this. And they do. And especially in Suzanne's case, bravo.
Well, and it's brilliant because you start off the movie knowing Larry dies.
Yes.
And we're in the fallout of that. But now we're going to tell you, how did we get to that point? And we're going to build it up. And so much of it is building up what her character is and what she did and how she did it. And the manipulation, the way she plays Jimmy and starts to say things like, making up just these bald-faced lies about him abusing her or him getting a temper and all this. And that scene in the car, for instance, is masterful because we smash cut into it.
Yes.
And we smash cut into it with her crying, confessing that she can't do this anymore, blah, blah, blah. And she lays all this out and all this really heavy stuff that she is lying to Jimmy about, right? She's telling him that he's got a temper, and she never outright says he hit me. She lets him infer that.
Mm-hmm.
So she gives all the ammunition to Jimmy, who then makes that decision, and then she immediately flips it and says, "Oh, I love this song," and gets all bubbly and happy and goes out and starts dancing in the rain in a little sundress
Yes.
in the headlights. So now what she has done is she has led Jimmy into the arena, loaded the gun, handed it to him, and given all of this, and then nail it, drive it home, keep it in his consciousness with a happy memory. Wrap it up in this wonderful moment for him
Yes.
that then that's what he'll remember, is that good moment, and he'll bury the bad stuff until it comes to light when he finally meets Larry for the first time.
Yes.
Brilliant piece of manipulation and psychology.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely loved it.
And she plays them all like fiddles. And what's so great when you kind of look at it, and it's not like it seems completely out there, but you look at the home lives of these three kids, and unfortunately, broken homes. They
Yep.
don't have a lot going for them. Like if you take a snapshot of what their home life is like, and she is promising them the world, and she's also like, especially with Jimmy, like you mentioned, like, you're kind of my savior. So she knew in no time flat he was fixated on her. But talk about a tractor beam on poor Jimmy. Like,
Yeah.
by the end, I mean, he pulled the trigger, but you can't help but to feel slightly bad for him. Like when you pull apart the layers, it's like, boy, you got played like a fiddle. Like, you still did the deed, but boy, she had your number from the word go.
No, he did it, but he was definitely manipulated into that situation hardcore. Like, that poor kid. Jimmy is not a super bright guy in this broken home environment that we never get into, but you just know it based on how other kids at the school interact with him and how he just is with people. And she just grooms him right into that situation. And the subtle things like calling him James.
Yes.
And the first time she did that, and I was like, there it is right there. She's already playing him, and he doesn't see it. He doesn't know it. Russell, she can't really play in the same way because he doesn't have the same, he's not as manipulated or manipulable as Jimmy, right?
Right.
But she understands that Jimmy and Russell are friends, and she's going to need his services. So, but she can also use Russell to get Jimmy to do what she wants. And then poor Lydia develops the parasocial relationship and thinks that Suzanne is her friend. So there's a love bond in a different way with Lydia than there is with Jimmy. Jimmy, she is manipulating sexually, which is also, gross.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's like, no.
Yeah, it gets worse the more you think about it. And then with
Is this
Lydia,
Florida? No.
and with Lydia, it's this emotional manipulation.
Yes.
That is so different because there is never once any kind of a romantic connection between the two of them. Although you get a glimpse of like Lydia feeling a little something and questioning her own personality and her own sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And Suzanne doesn't stop that, but she doesn't encourage it either. But she does get personal information out of her. And that's the thing. Like, Lydia opens up to her.
Yes.
And considers her to be like her only friend. And it's arguably worse what she does to Lydia than what she did to Jimmy. But they're kind of two sides of that same coin. Plus, Lydia's backstory is horrific, right?
Oh, yes. Especially when she talks about and it's unfortunate because you want to laugh at it a little until you get to, quote unquote, and I don't mean this in a funny way, the punchline talking about the scented oil when she was 12.
Oh,
and then it's like, he got it.
Yep.
And I think intentionally or unintentionally, I think it should have been a good kind of barometer for Suzanne with her. Like, Lydia had finally an ear like, hey, here's a woman that I connect with, respect. And she literally says, you just need to go forward and block all that stuff out. And I'm like, you realize what she just told you. Like, I get you're
Yeah.
trying to you still work your angle, and Lydia
And
may not necessarily see it that way, but you basically went, yeah, just don't think about it. It's like she just told you about it.
and that was where, for me, Suzanne crossed from being not a good person and manipulating and all of this into like this kind of almost monster like territory where
Mhm.
she just does not care about these kids at all.
Nope.
And she learns this information, and she's been through, because there's the whole thing at the conference during their honeymoon, which
Yes.
again, the manipulation is starting right away, right? Where
Mhm.
she manipulated Larry into going to this spot in Florida, knowing he likes to go out, go fishing, and then she can go work on her career. And that's where we get the first of two moments for me,
Yes.
which was, let me find him here. Hold on. George Siegel
Yes.
as the conference speaker. I think of him from, I think it was Just Shoot Me, was the series he was
Yes.
on forever.
Yes.
And countless other things. But like I saw him immediately, and that whole scene with him where he sees her come into the room. Now, one of the things I love about Suzanne in this movie as a character that they did was her costuming was
Oh, yes.
absolutely perfect. She is these bright, garish colors and costume, clothes that she wore to stand out
Yes.
constantly and be the center of attention and whatever. Like it's not enough to look like Nicole Kidman. I'm also going to put on yellow plaid, and I'm going to put on these just
So much
ridiculous
pastel.
patterns. Yes. And it was wonderful. Like they were on point all the way through. I wouldn't change
Yes.
a thing about them. But like that gets George Siegel, who is just credited as conference speaker, but uncredited. He wasn't in the final credits, but like
Right.
it gets his attention. And then we get that whole story that he tells her around drinks,
Yes.
which is icky, and you know what he's going for, and she takes that and immediately puts it into her bag of tricks and is going to use it.
Yes.
Which again, that's that Gone Girl idea of like taking in and absorbing, and that's where those are the types of things that if she had more depth to her plans, the things she could have gotten away with were pretty
Yeah.
impressive. But Suzanne didn't have that. Her whole goal was just to be famous.
Yes.
And so she didn't think enough ahead. By the way, my other Leo pointing at the screen whistling moment was the
I love that
sister,
reference.
Janice, played by Elena Douglas.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I adore Elena Douglas.
Absolutely.
What I remember her from, the first thing I think of is she was kind of a go-to in the 90s to play the sister character,
Yes.
I feel like. And she's just got that perfect, like, slightly quirky, sarcastic nature that fits those roles really well. But she played the sister in Stir of Echoes. She is the one that
Yes.
hypnotizes Kevin Bacon in Stir of Echoes because she's the woo-woo, tarot card reading kind of, that's the way they play her in that. And so anytime I see her, I immediately think, because I love Stir of Echoes, so I think of her from that movie
Yes.
immediately. And I saw her and I was just like, I was delighted. I was giddy. And then to have her be a figure skater in this.
And she's fantastic in
Yes.
this and hilarious in so many ways. Like the dinner, if it's good enough for Johnny.
Oh, I wanted more of her in this. Like I want her whole story, because then and the movie does a good job of having a reason for her not to be around for stretches because she's out on tour with this performance. Brilliant writing in that way. But I adored her.
Yeah, she's wonderful in this. And the big one for me, I think he's in the credits, but I have always been a huge Buck Henry fan
Mhm.
because, first of all, he has a cool name like Buck Henry.
Yeah.
And he's not in adult videos, so okay. But two, writing and just as a humorist, I've always wanted to. I've loved seeing him play those type of roles. And for those who don't know, he wrote The Graduate, and he
Hmm.
was in so many other things. And even as great as he is, he almost is like Christopher Walken and Jeff Goldblum, where I'm kind of a version of Buck Henry as
Yes.
credited as Buck Henry in whatever movie, like Defending Your Life, where his character is literally just, I have nothing further. And the way he plays it so cold, it's hysterical, even though he doesn't do much more in the movie. It's an Albert Brooks movie. But here, I love the whole, when he was messing with Casey Affleck's character.
Oh,
And
I loved it.
to be fair, what he's doing is a big no-no because he's taking a hand to him.
Hmm.
But I could not, and even now, as many times as I've watched this movie, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, even before research for the show, and because I love this movie, I will do all the research that's necessary. I am that selfless. But I'm probably at about 20 viewings of this movie, give or
Okay.
take. And I still get a laugh out of, if you don't know what eunuch is, you can look it under the dictionary
Yep.
under nutless wonder.
Oh, he was Buck Henry cracked me up in this. Like there's that is the dark humor
Yes.
aspect of things, is like Buck Henry's character and, a
Yes.
few other moments here and there. Wayne Knight, I think, brings a little bit of that to it. And he did the screenplay for this. It's based on Joyce
Yes.
Maynard's book, which
Yeah.
Joyce Maynard shows up. She's the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
She's Suzanne's lawyer. And
Yeah.
I would be curious to read this book to see how different it is when adapting it to the screen.
Yes.
And if Suzanne reads on the page the same way she does to me in this movie.
I can't help but to think, not, and not to compare the two. And what's funny is I love the movie so much. I've never really been swayed to read the book. I'd love to either read it or listen to it, but
Mhm.
it's never enough to where, like, okay, I have to go get it now after
Sure.
watching the movie. And I've done that in many cases. But part of this movie being such a wonderful gem for me, like I feel like the book might mess with that in some way, shape, or form. Because I compare it kind of to, or I think my way of thinking to this, it's kind of like Fight Club. I read the book in Saudi Arabia on my first deployment when I thought deployments were going to be easy. Boy, I was so wrong. Because back then it was just a no-fly zone. So we kind of just sat there being a presence. Lo and
Okay.
behold, a few years later, I didn't go to Saudi Arabia anymore, and all the other deployments were nothing like Saudi Arabia. But we had a great library because that base had been there for years, and I knew the movie was coming out for Fight Club. They had a copy of it. I read it. Then I watched the movie, and of course, changes are going to be made. But
Yeah.
for me, the parallel that rang true that I enjoyed was the tone. There is this dark, bonkers, kind of super messed up tone and vibe that exists both well in the movie as well as the book.
Mhm.
And Fincher himself considers Fight Club a comedy. So when I
Yeah.
look at something like To Die For, and I think it goes back, and we'll keep saying it because we can't help but to kind of be in awe and almost worship Nicole Kidman's performance. Like I feel like that might change on the page for some reason. I don't know why. It's just that because she just knocks it out of the park.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I would be
Yeah.
curious to do that though. I just think it would be an interesting read because I'm always curious about adaptation and taking something from one media
Yes.
form to another, and what do they do differently? Because I don't think the book is always better. I don't think the movie is always better. They're different,
Yes.
and I like to see those differences without deciding the merits of one over the other necessarily, because it's a different experience. Reading a book versus watching a movie, they're not the same thing. What did they take out of the book that they were able to put into the movie in shorthand necessarily, or what did they update and change maybe? So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different stuff like that, because again, this movie isn't about the how did they catch her, right?
Yes.
Because it was sort of like almost an inevitability that she was going. I thought she would just get caught, but no,
Right.
she got caught, but sort of was able to weasel her way out of it.
Right.
But then she got caught anyway by David Cronenberg.
Yes, one of my favorite. And you talk about the whistle moment. Like this is such a big, like even for me now, a big Rick Dalton moment. Because here's what's funny. So love some Cronenberg for
Mhm.
many, many, many years. What's weird about especially this cameo for me, once my gears kicked in, and once again, you know, I watched the movies that were available until I got to the point where I watched what I wanted to watch. So I love some Cronenberg. I had no clue what the man looked like. So years later, I was like, light bulb,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
him as the hitman. And what's so great about it is, as an audience member, you see this guy, and there is no doubt that it smells fishy.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it stinks to high heaven. But true to form to the character of Suzanne, even in moments when he's kind of leading her from the car off the main road, you can hear trepidation, you can see doubt in her face. At no point does she stop.
Nope.
Like she has no stranger danger moment. She has no danger Will Robinson moment
Not
to
a one.
any of this stuff. She is just, oh, yeah, this guy said he's going to do this, this, and this. Probably has nothing to do with a secluded lake where no one
Mhm.
sees me.
Right.
It should be fine. A boathouse in the middle of nowhere, no stranger danger. I don't need my whistle. It should be fine. And once again, Cronenberg plays it so straight. People seem to forget that, you know, he's acted in other stuff. One thing
Mhm.
he has done brilliantly as an actor, of course, is Nightbreed.
Yep.
That phenomenal bonkers gem. But when I finally put two and two together, when I had my moment, I was like, oh, him. He's the he's the guy that made Michael Ironside's head go pook,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
and I was a fan. And here's what's funny: when I started getting into him, it wasn't Scanners, it wasn't Dead Ringers, it was The Brood.
Okay. Yeah.
It
No, I can
was
see
it
that.
it was the stuff that was kind of smaller, more
Mhm.
independent. I mean, he did a lot of studio stuff, but it was more crafted and not sanitized. Not to say that many of his movies are sanitized,
No.
because
No.
that man has showed me images that I have talked to my shrink about, and I am grateful for that experience. But when I finally realized who he was, I was like, oh, and he plays it so whimsy
Oh,
and
it's so.
cute. He knows his mark, he knows how to play to her strength. Even being where she is and where he's taking to her, he plays it so well that at no point is he worried about her going along with him, and it plays to his advantage.
Yep. I also like that what happens to her happens off screen
Yes.
because we were in the moment with Larry, but we don't. It's not graphic. He's shot, but
Yes.
the gun goes off. We cut away from that to her, and it's that moment you mentioned earlier, which is brilliant. Also, I noticed the one and only time, other than the funeral, the first time in the movie we see her in black. We see her
Yes.
in not pastels. She does her weather report that night in black,
Yes.
which it's a great little bit of visual storytelling. But what happens with her is so wonderful because you're right. There's no self-preservation sense for her
Nope.
when she pulls up in this random dude on a bridge in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And then, he hauls her away and all of this. And then we just see, all we see is the lake house, which we've seen earlier,
Yes.
by the
And
way.
that split second edit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then we see it here and that's it. And you just know, like, oh, yep, he killed her.
Yeah.
That was a hitman. He took her out. And then the only other thing we see is her in the ice. Now, my question
Yes.
was at the end of the movie, like, what happens in the spring when that ice melts?
Yes.
But you know what? Movie's not concerned with that. We rolled the credits
No.
and we're fine. So,
Yes.
now I have some clips. I got to play some of these because there was some good stuff in here.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to start with Suzanne because, again, as we've said countless times, Nicole Kidman is just phenomenal in here. So I got this almost was my intro before I went with the piece that I did, which I loved that because it was such a great parroting
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you so much insight into her where she is just absorbing stuff all the time.
Yes.
And I also loved that bit I played for the intro where they do a double track on her voice at one part, and it makes it feel just weird and otherworldly. But I almost used this as the opening, because this is, I think, the opening of the movie itself.
Here's what I've found out. That all of life is a learning experience. Everything is part of a big, master plan. But sometimes it's hard to read. I mean, it's like if you get too close to the screen, all you can see is a bunch of little dots. You don't see the big picture until you stand back. But when you do, everything comes into focus.
What I like about that is that's her, too. She doesn't see the big picture of what's going on. Mm-hmm. But at the beginning of the movie, you're meant to believe that she is the Tyler Durden of all of this, and she understands everything that's going on. But she isn't. She's the narrator. She doesn't get it until it's too late, and then even then, she doesn't really get it. It's kind of brilliant in that way. It
absolutely.
really is. This was one I caught just because Nicole Kidman is Australian, and she does a very good American accent, and she has for a long time. But this word in particular, I was like, oh, that's an Australian.
Suzanne Stone.
The way she says stone is not an American, because it's meant to be, I think, New Hampshire.
Yes.
But it's like, it's supposed to be like the all-American accent. And the way she says stone is very Australian stone.
Yes.
So I noticed that. Okay, this one just says guy like you.
I'll still never find a guy like you, Dad.
Her saying that to her dad, but then his reaction of like, what?
Yeah, he's like, huh?
Wait a minute. Because I thought, ooh, wait, what are we getting at here? What are we hinting at? And then Earl's reaction is like, oh, nope, nothing. He doesn't know. She's doing some kind of thing. I don't know. But I liked that moment. That was great. This is another one. Listen. When I try to pronounce French words, I am really bad at it. Okay. I understand that. I know. I have a very Michigan Midwest accent. So I don't say Charlevoix because it is Charlevoix. That's the town near me. Okay. That's the word, right? Mackinac. These are French Canadian names. I am bad at pronouncing French words. However, I'm not this bad.
Barquettes with leek chiffonade.
I had to pause the movie at that point.
Yes.
I honestly did. That made me laugh so much. Barquettes with leek chiffonade. Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
And she says it with such confidence, which is so, once again, back to the character of being like, it's all her world. Everybody else is just living in it. And if she says it, this is what it is. And once again, the sister never got pulled into any of that. Like from the word jump, she hated her. And that's why it's so fitting of how Suzanne dies. And this came to me a couple weeks ago. Once again, sometimes light bulb. In the beginning, you want to know what I thought of Suzanne? 4-letter word.
Yep.
Begins with a C.
Oh, yeah.
Cold. She was cold. I thought she was cold. And of course, the point she's making is not that C word, but the fact that she was buried under the ice, the lake, it's like, oh, yeah. Sometimes for me, I have those moments. Perfect one, real quick. I don't know if you've seen Companion with Sophie Thatcher. Okay.
Oh, loved it.
Now you probably picked up on this. It took me a minute. It was like my third viewing. He named her Iris, and when they deliver her, Iris from the Goo Goo Dolls is Plague.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's little things like that that I love in films.
Yes.
And storytelling in general. And this movie had a couple of those moments, and that was one. Also, the fact that Suzanne is buried in ice, and Janice is an ice skater, and our end credits are her skating on the lake by the lake house where she's buried in the ice.
And there's no cuts. It's like the 2-3 minutes of credits, and it's her ice skating the entire time. Is brilliant. And it's Season of the Witch, which is an amazing song, but also just, because it starts with her being on the lake, and then it's a pullback shot, and it's her ice skating the whole time. There's no break in the
Wonderful.
scene. There's no edits, and it's just the credits. And like, I remember being in the theater and laughing so hard. And we weren't married yet, but I was dating who would become my wife, now ex-wife. And I died laughing, and it didn't click for her. And she goes, what's so funny? I said, the ice, like, she's literally,
Yeah.
if you will, dancing on her grave, kind of, if you think about it. Like, it's really.
And what it reminded me of is like a dark and twisted version of something you might see in a Christopher Guest movie.
Yeah, yes. Oh my God. That feels very Best in Show, A Mighty Win. Absolutely.
Yes, like it feels like that, but if you took that and just twisted it and ran it through, like just made it dark. So I loved that. This was a great exchange with her and Joe, Dan Hidaya's character.
Planning to start this exercise class so I can get rid of a few pounds myself.
From where? Your feet?
It's great because, I mean, Nicole Kidman is just tiny in this. Like, she's just a little wisp of a thing. And she's tall, I know that. But she is so thin. And just his reaction, from where, your feet?
Yeah, like your earlobes. Like, what are you talking about?
This is an Italian family, right? Like they
Yes.
live on, you don't refuse Nona's food. Like this man has lived his entire life eating. So that was wonderful. I also love everything Suzanne talks about. She has to relate to something else in television or film or pop culture or media, right? Everything is Maury Povich this and Connie Chung that, and she's mentioning all these names. She's always mentioning the names, but you kind of get a sense like she doesn't really understand any of it. She doesn't, beyond knowing it. And this was the perfect example when she's talking to Wayne Knight when she first goes in and she says,
Everybody has to start somewhere. Do you know where Edward R. Murrow started?
No, I don't.
No, well, neither do I offhand. But I don't think it was at the top. Do you?
because that's the famous story is like Murrow started in the mailroom and worked his way up. And for her to bring that up and then have no idea, not have the follow through for it, it's just, it's perfect.
Yeah. Definitely plays to the character being, not just shallow, but like confidently shallow. Like with the pronunciation of the dinner and how she references everybody. Like her wedding dress wasn't even something she came up with. It was from a picture when Maria Shriver got married to Arnie, and it's like you can't help but to. I mean, it's entertaining to watch.
Right, but Suzanne has no personality of her own.
Correct.
Her personality is an amalgamation of what she thinks famous people are.
Yes.
In order to gain fame.
Yes. And she thinks she owns it so well, confidently a bliss, where when she tells everybody else, it's kind of like, because I said so. Haha, I'm so high class.
It's the Dunning-Kruger effect, right?
Yes.
She doesn't know enough to know she doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
But she's confident in what she knows.
Yes.
She just doesn't know it. So this one is just marked special greeting.
A special greeting to my husband, Larry, on this, our first anniversary. Good night, honey.
That bit. Oh.
The fact that she coordinated all of this to happen on their first anniversary.
Yes.
They had a first anniversary party, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that's a custom with families in the Northeast or not. Not sure.
If it was her ideal.
Probably. I mean, if nothing else, it can somewhat give her an alibi. But that moment on the screen and her delivering that and the fact that she says the special greeting and then it's good night, honey.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that is so chilling.
Yes.
And
that turn is the best.
It's just wonderfully done. And then her talking to Lydia later, where Lydia comes to the house to talk to her.
You and I and Jimmy are going to stay miles away from each other. That's what we're going to do.
Well, he's here.
Here? Where?
Like, she's got it in her head that, we're just going to stay away from each other and everything's going to be fine and nobody's going to know anything. And then it's like, except the kid that you've manipulated and is obsessed with you. Yeah, he's here because guess what? You manipulated him and he's obsessed with you.
Mm-hmm. and she doesn't know how to put the pin back in that grenade. And going back to my previous point, like she didn't think that far ahead, and it's on par with the character, but it's also like you just thought having them kind of execute everything for you was that's it. They're going to take care of it. The
Yeah.
manipulation is done. He pulled the trigger, but and for her, it's almost like dominoes, where it was like, okay, well, that all falls. I'm good over here, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you really. She just didn't. It's almost like the character didn't have interest in the aftermath. She just thought
Right.
it was all gonna just fall in line,
Yep.
and she was just gonna be fine. Whatever was gonna happen to them, and she was separated from it. She never even tried to separate herself from it, which
And
is kind of hilarious.
And if you think about it, storytelling up until kind of the mid 90s, that happened a lot, right? You didn't have a lot of fallout from the actions of characters in movies. It was just, hey, here's the thing, and then we end.
Yeah.
And so for her to not think about any of that and not think about any of the repercussions for all of the things she's doing is perfect.
Yes.
So it was really, really good. I liked this moment with her and Lydia again, where Lydia, they put a wire on her. She shows up. They meet in the public place, and all of that. But when it ends, and she says this to her, and this again, in a different movie, this is even more cold and calculating than it. And it's what Suzanne thinks is like I'm going to send you off with this one.
I'm a professional person, for Christ's sake. I come from a good home. Who do you think a jury would believe?
Like, who do you think a jury is going to believe? Which is true. She is 100% not wrong there. But it's also like, again, she just doesn't think beyond that point, that anything could happen to her. She's like, I'm scot-free, and I can just deny everything because she's gone so long in her life with nobody telling her no.
Yep.
Her speech to the press after the beginning of the trial or whatnot with, I didn't capture all of it, but this moment in particular really got to me. And I also loved the way they framed that, where it started out with us diegetic in the scene and her lawyer and all that. And then we spend the rest of it with it being through the veil and the lens of the news broadcasts. Right. I liked that extra layer in there because it added to this whole idea of fame and celebrity that she's going for. But when she said this,
it's nice to live in a country where life, liberty, and all the rest of it still stand for something.
it was so good because she had this wonderful, profound speech and then just fell apart two-thirds of the way through it and just gave up. That was wonderful.
Her telling moment for me throughout the whole thing, and it's meant to be awkward to the viewer and hilarious because it's on point for the character and still comes out of nowhere, is that at his funeral, the boombox playing All By Myself. That is a moment. I remember in the theater having that, like there's things in here, like when you talk about the ideal of a dark comedy, which, I mean, this definitely checks that box. And I hadn't been exposed to that yet when I was that young. Later down the line, I kind of knew the genre more, and I love dark comedies, almost unfortunately. But that scene where she puts the boombox, I mean, I chuckle at it now, but I remember laughing almost at a gasp at that because it's like, who does that? And the sparks were clicking to what she was and why that would make sense, but it still is so awkward. And what's even better is his family, Larry's family, her family are trying to go with it with this stoic look, and their eyes are like, what is she doing?
The best part of all of it, because their looks make sense, but then there's a slow pan to the priest.
Yes.
And the look on his face is gold because he is just like, what is happening here? And that
it's almost like, who let her in?
Yeah, it's such an absurd moment.
Yes.
And it's what gives away that this is one of those kinds of dark comedies that is meant to be that. It's not it's not the case of like, oh, going back and looking at The Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage and saying, oh, it was a dark comedy. No, it wasn't made that way, right? The Room by Tommy Wiseau was not made to be some kind of a black comedy. But now they've tried to, pull both hamstrings, backing away and making it that.
Yes.
This was intentionally done
Yes.
to be that type of comedy, but it was a little bit ahead of its time, right? Like this is, I think, the year before Scream and
Yes.
sort of the satire of this.
Yeah.
It's both less obvious and as obvious as something like Natural Born Killers being a satire, right?
Yes.
Same kind of an idea.
Yes.
But it tries to play it more straightforward and let it be like just this absurd situation. And when she put the boombox up and then the music started coming out of it and I lost it. I was howling. It was brilliant.
And her expression helps sell it because she believes in it, in kind of the moment, if you will, where she's like, yes, I'm being heartfelt. And, you can kind of see behind the glasses her expression. And you're just like, well, one, I mean, if nobody, it definitely wasn't an omission of guilt, but you can't help but to go, you get the gravity of what happened. Like,
right.
This is meant to do what exactly? So it almost feels like she's like trying to be heartfelt, but because she orchestrated it, it's like, well, this is the best I can do. And it's like, it might want to get better, like your Alibi, because it's just so on a place. And with it being a dark comedy, once again, Gus Van Sant, who plays things, very straight. I love that the man doesn't do like all these crazy exotic angles. He just doesn't make those kind of movies. But the fact that he's able to stick the landing with so many scenes that have the awkward, dark humor, like where you even like you'll laugh at it, but you'll have kind of like because there's a couple. I mean, even the first time I saw it, like I winced, where I was like, you kind of look over, like I laugh at this, right?
He's able to balance that within these moments of like character introspection where the shot lingers.
Yes.
When Lydia walks back into the house and from walking the dog and Suzanne and Jimmy are upstairs and she hears them and the door is cracked open, right? Deliberately. Like Suzanne did that on purpose because that was all set up so that Lydia would see them. We never see the action that's going on. We just hear it and we have Lydia's reaction to it.
Yes.
And we stay on it for a while. So we're watching her process all of it. And then that is mirrored, but in a funhouse mirror style with Jimmy later on going through something very similar. And we linger on his face for a long time as he's processing and working through information and manipulation that Suzanne has done. I loved all of that. That is where I feel like Gus Van Sant really does these great types of character moments, doing that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Larry, Matt Dillon, we talked about him a little bit, but some of these moments like this, total red flag. His dad should have said a little bit more. He kind of did here, but I loved.
I sold my drums.
You sold your drums?
Yep.
Like, whoa, hold on there, buddy.
Yeah.
Look, don't change yourself for somebody else, okay? Be you and find the person that fits and matches you as the puzzle piece. Don't change who you are to fit someone else.
And Larry felt he could do that. Like it's really like, I mean, he was taken with her obviously from the moment she walked in to the restaurant.
Right.
But he felt like he understood who she was trying to be. I mean, in his way, at least the way I look at the character. But then the other side of it is he's like, oh, well, I can do this too. Like she got me this tape and I got the
the tape. You mean the moment where he says
It's from that guy on TV, the inspirational millionaire with all the houses and yachts.
Yeah. You know how he became an inspirational millionaire? Selling tapes that you're listening to, dum-dum.
Yes. Yes. But you feel bad for Larry. Like he's just kind of this sweet, lovable lug, kind of a meathead, but still affable and decent, That's why when he's kind of painted a certain way, I mean, it's part of the manipulation, but it also speaks once again to Suzanne, how she knows she has to see she has to see them a certain way to sell the ploy to the three kids. But also for her, it's like, he said no. to me.
Oh,
And
the midway point of the movie.
No.
What?
Her what right there. Like she has
Yes.
never heard no, right? She had her dad wrapped around her little finger for an
Mm-hmm.
entire life.
yes.
And every man she's always been able to manipulate because, let's face it, it's Nicole Kidman, right? Like
Yeah.
and she just carries herself with that confidence. And so to finally get told no, and what I liked was that scene could have gone so differently, but the way that it goes is like he genuinely wants to help her and he feels like he can help her to achieve some of her goals while also working together. But at the same time, he also wants kids and a family, and she has no
Yes.
interest in that.
Nope. Not at all. And her face of disgust, like at the family get together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, hey, you want one of these? No, thanks. Then he
No.
has the kid. Want one of these? No, thanks.
I also love this exchange with Larry and his dad where they're driving to whatever conference they were doing because this is just really funny to me.
You know what I'm thinking, Larry? Why don't we get some artificial plants for the restaurant?
Good idea. This way we don't have to worry about watering.
Exactly.
It's just such a great moment of like, I don't know, it's so dumb, but it's so funny at the same time. Just killed
Yes.
me. It killed me absolutely.
Yeah, he's so great in it, and I mean, obviously the showcase ends up being Nicole Kidman, but it shouldn't be understated how great he is. One, it's Matt Dillon. I might have said Matt Damon again, but it's Matt Dillon. And two, like, you know, even when we first see him, because he has kind of that goofy haircut where it's like it's not put together. Like later on, you know, his hair and even his clothes, they're kind of clean because he's trying to play up for her. But when he first meets her, like his hair's all shaggy and he wears
yeah.
like jerseys and stuff like this. Like he's such a dude.
He is. He's such a dude.
Yeah.
Jimmy, Joaquin Phoenix. And again, young Joaquin Phoenix. Like he'd been acting for a few years. I think this might have been one of the first times he was credited as Joaquin and not Leaf.
Right.
But, you know, and his brother had been in a Gus Van Sant movie, right? His brother was in My Own Private Idaho.
Yes.
All of that.
Amazing movie. Oh my God.
But he had a couple of moments here as Jimmy, I got. This one.
And how we'd be together for the rest of our lives.
It's that was a moment where Jimmy realized he got played.
Yep.
And it's that we'll be together for the rest of our lives. Huh. And he has this little eye roll like, man, I fell for that.
Yeah.
And that's where you feel for Jimmy in that
Because
moment.
it's so after the fact too, where he's like, it was all right there. And, you know, it almost mirrors like Suzanne with being dragged out in the snow. But it's one of those things where it's like, he had time to take it in. And of course, hindsight is 2020. But when he does have the epiphany of it, he's like, yeah, why would she want something to do with me unless it was to play to her goals?
Yeah.
And once again, you kind of feel for him because she plays next to everybody she comes into contact one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
Until she gets played. And that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah.
And fitting.
It's very satisfying.
Oh, yes.
I also love this exchange with the cops when they finally bring him in.
Like what?
He said your dick was bigger than your brain.
Oh, yeah? He really said that?
I don't think he meant it as a compliment.
Because he genuinely thinks that's cool. And then the cop is like, dude, no.
And there's
you don't."
only 2 cops in the whole town. Well, technically 3 when they go get Casey Affleck's character. But like,
Right.
I can't help but to wonder if like those cops were like in with Larry's family because we see them mostly at the restaurant until they're actually doing cop stuff. And
I loved that. I loved seeing the one cop in the restaurant. And what was cool about that moment was it was her first broadcast and we see that guy and it's the way he keeps looking at the screen, almost like none of this makes any sense to me. And then later on we learn he's a cop.
Yes.
So that was really cool.
Yeah, it was kind of cool seeing them be there and then obviously be a part of it. And it kind of tracks. And then, of course, even better, when Larry's dad gets the call that the deed is done, they're in the restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
David Cronenberg is speaking Italian, and he spared the dog, which matters. But in a roundabout way, I mean, I don't think he's going to go walking it everywhere. But there's a part of me, it's like, isn't that evidence? I mean, sure, don't off the dog. John
Right.
Wick will come and get you. So good call. However,
Smart.
dogs kind of like people's exhibit ruff ruff.
Yeah.
If you kind of want to look at it in that manner. But yeah, I love that too.
I like to think that he took the dog to a shelter and said, I can no longer take care of this dog. It was my sister's. She's passed on. Please take care of this dog. That's my headcanon.
That sounds, I mean, honestly, it sounds like something David Cronenberg would actually do.
Also true.
And once, real quick tidbit with David Cronenberg, I read the book and I watched the movie, and I tried, when you meet new people or friends, and you're like, I love this movie. And I learned the hard way that obviously not all movies are for everybody, but Trash as a movie took me away. And once again, I became obsessed with Cronenberg, that wild-eyed Canadian. And I tried showing a friend, we were kind of dating, if you will, at the time. I tried showing her Crash.
Ooh.
I'm an idiot. 30 minutes in, she was out the door. She was like, nope, not a chance. It's kind of like somebody I was dating. She was into action movies and military movies, and obviously my background. And we had dinner, and she's like, well, let's watch a movie, or go back to her place, watch a movie. And I've always tried to do my best with them, but if I can't do it, I can't do it. But it takes moments. She put on American Sniper.
Oh.
I didn't even make it to the 15-minute mark, and she had learned at that point, she didn't realize that was almost like a rerun for me, where it's like, she was like, oh, you wonder if they got that stuff right? I'm like, they did. Can we put on the Teletubbies now?
You showing a date Crash makes me think of a story.
I know.
And it's not exactly the same, but a friend of mine in 1998, I believe, so we were still in high school, but the movie 8mm came out.
Yes.
With Nicolas Cage. And my friend went to see that movie, but not with a date. He went to see that movie with his mother. And to this day, it's like that was the worst decision in the long and sad history of bad choices, man. That was the wrong movie to go to with your mom.
That is,
showing a date Crash is, oof,
Well, and I had run it through her first, and what I found kind of funny is she knew of, I said his name. She was like, yeah, I know who that is. I didn't follow up with have you watched this man's movie?
Right.
Do you know that he seems like one of the sweetest people in the world, and yet whatever's going on in his head is a completely different landscape. So I didn't vet it the best. Where it was I'm one of those people that, not just movies, but certain things that you introduce people to or you do with them, and it can kind of set a tone. Perfect example. I married my high school sweetheart, and I remember distinctly what was our first movie together with friends. We were already dating, but our first movie together with friends. And probably why I remember it is it should have been a precursor, almost foreshadowing, if you will, to how things were going to go. Our first movie together was Highlander 2: The Quakening.
That is not setting a good precedent. I'm just going to say.
No,
and I say this as one of the biggest
movie.
Highlander fan you will ever meet.
I adore the first movie. It's so wonderful, and Christopher Lambert is a treat, like in so many other movies. But here, and of course, you have Sean Connery and Clancy Brown, and it's just this great little piece of it almost reminds me of if you took a heavy metal magazine from back when in the 70s and made it into a movie, kind of stories of these immortals. Sure. There's also this romanticized part to it. And then they had to explain the whole immortality.
Oh, I could go on forever. I've done an entire podcast episode talking about that movie more than once. We don't need to. But
that movie's just cruel. Even to have the name, you're like, you can call it something else and nobody'd be the wiser. And then that one's baffling for me. But yeah, you show people certain movies to kind of start off with, and you never know where it's gonna go. But
You
that
don't.
one particular, like I look back, and once again, like I talked about, like I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember the first movie I saw. Like a perfect example is my lady who I'm with now. She's wonderful, almost together 7 years. We went to see Bumblebee for the first time, and I enjoyed the movie. I'm a Transformers fan by heart as a kid, but I remember it so distinctly is that the theater we saw it at about 10 minutes in, I had to use the restroom. Bought a big bucket of popcorn. There we go. And as I was reclining it to go down, she tried to catch it and warn me that it was going to spill, and it spilt, and all this popcorn went everywhere. And I kind of can't help now that I look about it. Now I'm going to get misty-eyed. She's such a balance to some of my stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have our crazy moments.
Sure.
But it was so sweet where even in the movie she caught sight of that to try to catch it. Me being me, I'm like, what was that? And then, I was the Larry.
Well, Larry was a lot of fun. There was also Lydia, and I got this from Lydia, and I had to play this one because it's just heartbreaking.
But I just told her stuff I never told anyone because she was my friend. She was my only real friend.
Oh, it's just, it's so rough because like Lydia honestly believed she was going to have this friendship with Suzanne, and they were going to go to California, and they were going to do everything. And Suzanne never had a single intent of doing any of that.
Nope, she played them all like fiddles. It is. And just, I mean, the actress as a whole, and once again, performances across the board are fantastic. But it really breaks your heart when she has that moment. We never really see Casey Affleck's character because he was just kind of there in a lot of ways. But especially in the case of Jimmy and, the other girl, you're kind of like, when they have that moment, it's like, oh, crap. And in Jimmy's case, it's a day late and a dollar short.
Yep. He's already in prison for life plus 30 years.
Yes.
And he did it too. He did pull the trigger.
Yes.
And he kind of understands that, but now, it's just too little too late. By the way, speaking of Russell, I did get a couple of things from him just because I liked this delivery from Casey Affleck.
What are you, a doctor?
I kind of want to keep that on my soundboard.
A doctor?
Forever. A doctor?
And then that wicked Tom Brady.
And he also did this.
Yeah.
Just making the pig noise when Lydia calls him a pig was great.
Yeah.
He's
just a total ass in the movie.
Oh, yeah. Throughout the movie. Like,
Yes.
totally. Wayne Knight has this line, and this was such a good moment. And this is prior to Larry telling her no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Suzanne, I sure pity the person who says no to you.
No one ever does.
It's like, that said so much about her.
Yes.
In that moment.
Especially that reaction as well as that retort. Like, it's so instantaneous. It's like, nobody does. Because, and it's funny, it's like she just knows the world revolves around her. Yep. Nobody's going to tell her no because they, as far as she knows, or in her mind, they know better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that plays pretty prevalently. And obviously, the motive of him being killed. And real quick, for my money, and I didn't meet him, but Danny Elfman was here for FanX not too long ago. And he wanted like $150 for like a meet and greet picture. Like, he was a little pricey. But I had to have a moment where I got around the artist row where they have everybody signing. And I took a minute, I took a mental snapshot, and I went, and I told my girlfriend, she was like, yeah, it's not in the budget. I said, it's okay. I said, I just need to see him and be grateful for June 23rd, 1989, 2:45 Waikiki Twins, when I saw the first Batman, not knowing really who he was at that point. And that theme, I want that played at my funeral. But I have to say, the reason why I mention him is he did the score for this. And
he did.
He has many amazing scores, obviously, to his credit. And one that's really understated is for Midnight Run. And a lot of people are like, he did that? And it's like, he sure did. And he did a great job. This one I love, and it's probably one of my favorites. For one, when the opening credits happen, there's that sound, whatever the instrument is, where it sounds like when you put your finger against a wine glass, this kind of
Yep.
stirring eeriness, and it kind of gets you open to what's going to unfold. But also, there's orchestral and then guitar riffs. And
Yep.
there's this great kind of just smash bang, just built amalgamation. I don't know if that's the right word, but basically where like all this stuff just kind of thrown together and it sticks, and it sticks so well. And once again, it reminds us that, Danny Elfman can kind of do anything when it comes to a score and pretty much nail it. And not just what we expect with his music box and his,
Well,
there's other things there too.
it was really funny because the very first note I took while watching this movie was this music feels like it could almost be Danny Elfman.
Yes.
And then 3 lines later, it's Danny Elfman.
Yes,
I knew
like
it.
Danny-
Like,
Yes.
it was such his type of thing. And then like the thrash metal stuff that they would play
Yeah.
was so good. Like the score is very, very good throughout this.
Oh yeah.
I have a couple more clips and a couple more moments I really want to talk about. The clips were, I got a couple of Elena Douglas as Janice. I just loved.
Suzanne, she designed the wedding rings all by herself. You want me to describe them for you? They were round and gold. I mean, big fucking deal.
That is such an Elena Douglas delivery. I love it. She is it is like her and Janine Garofalo, absolutely perfect with that type of delivery in that era. I want a movie where the two of them are sisters. I don't know if we could handle a movie like that, but I want it.
Very sardonic.
Very. I also loved this.
Oh, totally. It was like suddenly, you went from Van Halen to Jerry Vale overnight.
Such a great reference. And then she also had.
Yeah.
I love the way she said "yeah" there. I don't remember what it was in reference to, but I just love the way she said "yeah" there. I capture laughs. Silly stage laughs are always fun for me, and I got a couple here. That one, and I think this is also her. So those were good. There's a good little chuckles.
Oh yeah.
Now, last clip. I want to play this one. If you are old enough to remember this, not all television channels were always 24 hours. Channels would go off air.
Sure would.
You sometimes midnight, sometimes 1 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever it was, and you would get something like this.
And that concludes our broadcast day at WWEN, your community access station, serving Little Hope and the greater Hope County area.
And they would play the national anthem, and then they would just go to a test pattern for 6 hours.
Yep.
I definitely remember that. So that took me back. The other thing I wanted to mention, and this moment for me was really cool. There were two things with Suzanne's character that I thought were very, very telling in the movie that they did, and they didn't draw a ton of attention to. The first one was when she first walks into WWEN, right? And she goes to talk to Ed, who's eating lunch.
Yes.
She walks in, she offers her left hand to shake his hand. That immediately is very telling, but they never, it's never brought up. He looks at her a little strange.
Right.
But I just love that because that is visual storytelling right there for her to offer her left hand. Big thing. The other one was at the end when she's walking out of the courthouse and she's surrounded by reporters and they're all asking her questions and her lawyer is talking. And then we flip to her point of view. And all you hear is applause.
Yes.
And then we come back and it's the din of all the reporters. Then we flip back to her and it's applause again. Loved that because that is so perfect for her point of view. It's just she has now reached what she wanted, which is to have the celebrity, to have the famous notoriety. It doesn't matter what it's for. All publicity is good publicity.
Yep.
And then the way it all fell apart for her, because they also had the note. One of my notes is just a single line, all in caps, that just says Cronenberg.
Yes. That covers it.
Is all I need.
Yep.
This was a delightful, twisted, dark comedy of a movie that it had moments where I laughed out loud, but it also was so twisted at times and heartbreaking. Like Lydia's backstory is so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad they didn't play it for laughs, but they also didn't dive too deep into her backstory.
Right.
But you get enough of it to understand, and it just makes you feel so much more for her because of the way she was manipulated. And you feel for Jimmy because while he did terrible things and he wasn't a great person, he also was manipulated into doing what he did, which was way worse than he would have ever done.
Yes.
Russell was a bit of a dipshit, and
Yep.
he might have ended up assaulting somebody or doing something terrible. They just, I did love him getting arrested.
Yes.
Made me laugh because
they
it's
walk
the
right
two
in the
cops
water?
just walking straight out into the water without breaking stride killed me. I laughed so hard at that.
And the third cop is like, "Oh, we're going. Okay, you got
yeah,
this."
you guys. And then the dad just standing there watching it all, like, what's going on? This is weird. But you just felt for them. Like Larry didn't deserve his fate, and his parents didn't deserve to have to go through that. But they at least got some closure with their Cronenbergian hitman. So this was a great choice. I'm really glad that I saw this. I can understand and fully see where if you saw this in 1995, and this was like a $20 million budget, didn't really do gangbusters at the box office. I think it broke even.
Right.
Made about 20 million. So it wasn't like it was a huge hit, which is probably why I was not familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
Why that is, I don't know. I feel like it maybe was just a little bit ahead of its time, right? Like we weren't quite ready for the subtle satire of this. It wasn't, I think also kind of coming after Natural Born Killers maybe hurt this a little bit. But I get where it has the status that it does and why if you did see this, you would watch it 20 times because it has that to it.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was, I know this is going to sound kind of weird. I think I watched it ahead of my own time. Once again, kind of being introduced to Miramax and kind of the independent scene. And keep in mind, oddly enough, I saw this before I saw Sex, Lies, and Videotape from Steven Soderbergh. So I was still kind of forming my take on cinema, what I liked, what I didn't like, and kind of learning about these different types of movies along the way. So when this hit, they tried to, from what I recall, they tried to play it a little more as like a comedy of sorts. You can see in the trailers and the ads that it's not all going to be like rom-com or anything to that effect. But I think they were trying to play with the tone in the ads and trying to find the right stride. So for someone like me back then, my age, my mindset, like watching this and not really knowing what I was in for, but having such an impact, like I laughed, I know what I was supposed to feel, but I was also a little bit like some of the stuff I was like, oh, okay. And then as years went by and I was like, yeah, I love that. Like Nicole Kidman, once again, fantastic. And then little by little connecting the dots where it was like, okay. So as time went on, I mean, I loved it from the jump. But once again, similar to Pulp Fiction, where like the more I watch it, the more it clicked and it kind of helped build what I love about cinema or like my taste and what they became. So
yeah, and it feels like the type of movie that you can latch onto and really, really love. And if it had come out a couple of years later, maybe it has a bigger audience because the general audiences would have been more prepared for it. But I think marketing plays a lot into that too. Because if you try to play up too much of the comedic aspects of it, you're going to be caught off guard by how dark it can get. But if you try to play it too much like a thriller, it doesn't quite hit that either. It sits right in the middle, and I think it's a hard one to nail down in a lot of ways. So, but it's worth seeing, and it's playing on Netflix right now. So if you have a Netflix subscription, watch it. It's if you like character dramas, this is a good movie for you, and outstanding performances. Because it never strays too far in any one direction, but the performances, and Nicole Kidman especially, just crushes it all the way
Oh,
through.
absolutely. Absolutely. That performance still holds up. And,
Yes.
you know, the movie's over 30 years old now. And, you know, she went on to do obviously other things. You know, for The Hours, she won an Oscar.
Mhm.
And you kind of look at like her filmography just over time. It's no big secret why this, I feel like, kind of started that ball rolling. And then some of the stuff,
Oh, yeah.
because, I mean, she played so many great figures, so many great movies. And then, you know, you have stuff like the Hours, but also The Others. And then
Yep.
it's like, oh, you're an Aquaman. Like
Mhm.
as a true artist and stuff like that. And she even said, because people are like, what are you doing in Aquaman? She was like, James Wan's Australian. Like I'm repping for my people. And she did. She did great as like an
Sure.
action hero, as the mom of Aquaman. But
Also,
it
nice
just
payday.
Oh,
you know?
absolutely.
Not going to falter for that.
That's Warner Brothers money right there.
Yeah.
But
Nicole Kidman is so much more than just the person you see before every AMC movie.
Yes,
that
that is true.
Like she's so much more than that.
And Tom Cruise's ex.
Yeah, this is a career defining performance that led to her getting so many more roles, and she has earned her career. And while it didn't start here, this really took her to another level. It's like going back and watching Memento and seeing like, oh, Guy Pearce, this guy's going places, right?
Yes.
Like seeing those kinds of movies early on in somebody's career and being like, man, there's something there. You know,
that's
you
what lit the
just
fuse.
notice it with certain people.
Oh, Memento. Christopher Nolan. And that's another one where it was still small movies for him, but set that ball rolling.
Absolutely. Theo, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I always love having you on. What are you working on, or what do you got going on you want to let people know about?
So right now, I'm on Part-Time Gamers. We're taking a little break for a minute. As far as, funny enough, I'm off tomorrow, so hopefully I should be able to finally finish, if you will, themes and episodes for my solo podcast, which I haven't quite named yet. I'm one of those people, and
names are hard.
They are, and I get in my own head. You know, when I started the video station, when it was just me sitting in the parking lot of Las Vegas, doing the first episode, the video station was the video store I grew up with. Like, it was the only one in my town at the time, and that played such a huge memory for me. So now I beat myself up. It's like, is it clever enough? Is it cute enough? Because now you have so many celebrities, and not like I'm trying to compete with them, but you have Michael Biehn, who was Reese, and he has one called Just Messing Around. Or you have Michael Rosenbaum, who I adore, and I adore his short show Inside of You. So I try to play with that a little bit. I think the first week of June, Part-Time Gamers will be back on. Okay. And then hopefully in the next week or two, I will have my new solo podcast going, and I will definitely put out the word. But yeah, I'm great to be back on here. I always enjoy my time and being on your show. And I feel, this is funny because I told my girlfriend this real quick. I feel like, not toot my own horn, but I felt pressure recommending this because I was like, okay, so he was cool with the first two. Like, I want to go 3-0 here. I didn't put Police Academy 4 out, so I should be okay.
You've done well. I will say that.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've brought fun things, and I still reference No Escape all the time.
Yes.
It's definitely a movie that I'm bummed that I did not see earlier in my life.
Walter Merrick, easily one of the best characters put to film. For
loved
whatever reason, Stuart Wilson, why do you not have all the awards for that? I know this movie was ages ago, but still, they got to get you something because it's still such a great performance.
Now, if you like this discussion, I do it every week. Every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here, twitch.tv/TV's Travis, if you want to watch it live. It does come out as a podcast every Wednesday, anywhere you get your podcasts, including YouTube in a video format or as a regular audio podcast there. If you want to get it a few days early and get some extra special stuff, you can become a patron, patreon.com/WYHS. For as little as $5 a month, you get special access to Discord and all sorts of stuff like that. Now, next week, I'm going to... So the last few episodes, I have done Slapshot, A Few Good Men, White Chicks, and To Die For. Like we're not weaving through the landscape of movies so much as we're running around with our hair on fire. And we're going to go in a completely different direction. Vic Idstar is coming on the show for the first time, and we are going to talk about Pan's Labyrinth, which I adore this movie, and I cannot wait to show it to someone new.
I will be listening to this with such anticipation. This movie, and once again, this is probably in the 30 times seeing for me. This movie breaks me every time. It is gorgeous. It is lovely. I met Doug Jones last year. He's absolutely wonderful. This movie, I can't wait for this one.
I cannot wait to talk about this movie because I have so many thoughts on it, and it's going to be fun to revisit because it's been a couple years since I've seen it. Yeah. But I have also watched this one many times, so I am very much looking forward to that. So that's what's coming up next time.
Yes.
And then I have some more fun ones coming up. I'm actually going to be revisiting Guillermo del Toro in a few weeks when I am in Salt Lake City for Nerdtacular 2026, and I will be talking with Joe Hood about his first time watching Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy.
Oh, so, you're coming to my neck of the woods.
I am. If you're going to be at Nerdtacular, whoever you are, come check out live. Wait, you haven't seen talking about Hellboy. I'm also going to be up on stage for a undead version, as we're calling it, of Gore, a live version of Gore podcast. Nice. And the Frog Pants All-Stars for that weekend. So if you can make it out to Nerdtacular, you're going to want to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. But that's what's coming up over the next few weeks. And I got some more fun stuff. I just booked another guest that is going to be a first time guest. I'm excited about that. We're deciding on a movie right now. So I appreciate all of you listening. If you can, leave a rating and a review on your favorite podcatcher. It helps the show become more discoverable, which always helps. And I've got some new projects coming out, including the season 3 of 24 FPS Presents, which is the movie podcast I do with my friend Steven, where we tackle a topic per season. This season, we're starting off. New episode will be out next week. Everybody was kung fu fighting is our topic. We watched all martial arts films for this season. Let me tell you, we had some fun. You're going to want to listen to this.
I can imagine. That's awesome.
And also, I've got a new show called Lost Luggage, where 2 veteran castaways of the island of Lost are rewatching the show with myself and Phil Keating, who are watching it for the very first time. And that show is now hitting all the feeds. LostLuggageShow.com, I believe, is the website, or you can search for Lost Luggage, and eventually you'll find it on all your podcatchers. So definitely check that out. Myself, Phil Keating, Amy Robinson, and Brian Ibbett talking about the show Lost. I have been having a lot of fun watching that because prior to this recording of these episodes, I'd only ever seen the finale of Lost. I'd never seen another episode. It's a very bizarre story. I tell the story in the show. You'll want to check it out. But
yes.
That's what's going on. But Theo, thank you so much.
Of course, thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure having you on. It's so much fun. You have brought me some really fun movies and things that were just blind spots for me that I'm really glad I got to see. So thank you.
Thank you. No pressure for the 4th one, but
None at all. None at all. But until next time, remember to enjoy your movies. And look, fame is great, but not at all costs, okay? This has been Wait You Haven't Seen.
You know what a eunuch is, Russell?
Of course you don't.
But you can find it in the dictionary. If you don't know how to spell it, you can look it up under Nutless Wonders.
Nutless Wonders. I love it.